my sweet dear magical friends. Welcome to your weekly horoscope and taroscope with me, Natalie, spelled Natalee. I am your favorite professional remote viewer, and I do readings every day, every week, every month for every zodiac sign, astrology, and the tarot over on the Patreon. Patreon.com/TheFirstArteagan community is absolutely loving these meditations, you guys. I am so excited. This has taken me a year to really get these out to you guys, and the feedback has been phenomenal, and I'm just so happy and proud that you guys are using them and enjoying them, and it's just really cool. Like, I'm not an audio person, so it's just been really great to be able to serve in that way. And so you can take a browse, bookmark. All of the links that you guys need to bookmark are in the description box below. If you guys need any help or guidance, one-to-one consultations with me, you can book me over on TheFirstArteagan.com. Those Zoom sessions are for psychic tarot readings and for the 𝚃𝚑𝚎 sessions. Thank you so much. Thank you for your support and for your feedback and everything. It's been so very special to me. They will be trickling in for individual purchase on the 𝚃𝚑𝚎𝚎𝚅 website. The patrons have it first. They have all of them in the Kings and Queens tier. So watch out for that tier as well, and all the above tiers. That's really where it's happening. Otherwise, you can book a one-to-one consultation with me, and we can do a 30-minute session or a 60-minute session, and we can just troubleshoot any of the problem areas that you're having, either with your remote viewing or your channeling or what have you. So that's always available to you as well. But I'm so excited about these meditations, so go ahead and use them, enjoy them, and enjoy. We're coming out of an incredibly intense and excavating weekend with the Mercury-Pluto conjunction in Capricorn, which demanded an intense focus for all of us into some area or aspect of our lives and world. I finally packed up my Christmas tree and watched Superman. And when I say Superman, but I mean Man of Steel. So I saw Man of Steel over the weekend. It didn't take too long, and I watched the majority of the movie, giving it my complete undivided attention. When Mercury meets Pluto in any sign, it transforms all of us into a 𝚃𝚑𝚎𝚘 to our own subconscious, becoming boatmen, ferrying our thoughts from the mundane, topical, superficial, down into the subterranean, the underground, granting us access into the beautiful and ugly truths of what has been dormant and influential in this area of life all along, the Capricorn area of life, but that we couldn't see fully until this past weekend. We've had many moments of this quality of penetrating insight since Pluto first entered Capricorn in 2008. But as Pluto will leave soon to begin turning up ground in the Aquarius area of life, these last glimpses behind the masks can prove to be the most revealing. Watching Superman, my penetrating mind turned to the Venus-Neptune transit that partially defines the tone of the week ahead. The shorthand astrology before I dive us all the way in is that Venus is the planetary vibration that governs our tastes, our likes, our aesthetic, what we consider beautiful, what we love, how we love, what we like, our romantic preferences. Neptune is the planetary vibration that governs all that will be dissolved instead of built, higher dimensions and genius. The conjunction is the most powerful aspect, as two planets merge their beings entirely with one another. And this powerful vibration you will feel the whole first half of your week. Back to Superman. Even though he's an alien, he wants to be accepted among humans on Earth. His preference, his aesthetic, his love for Earth. He wants to dissolve the boundaries of judgment and discrimination, for instance, of the US military, who have strong defense mechanisms out of distrust for Superman's powers and fear over what they cannot control. This week, you may want to access a higher love, a higher understanding, deeper spirituality, honest forgiveness, or could even be inspired to create an artistic work that dissolves the boundaries of your personal previous best. You very well could do it this week if you allow this influence into your heart and mind without judgment without discrimination. I have a wise word of warning for you, however. It's to remember Superman's Earth father and his Krypton father. Both of them gave him the same sage wisdom. They both warned Superman that he will be misunderstood. The dark side of Neptune is dissolving of faith and trust in favor of paranoia, deception, and an increase in fears and petty jealousies. Vincent van Gogh, Emily Dickinson, Jane Austen, Edgar Allan Poe didn't need to understand their creative impulse. They just knew they had to paint. They just knew they had to think about stories and then write them down. Superman just knew he had to love and care for humanity on Earth, even though he couldn't expect to be loved in return or understood or really seen for who he really is. That's why Lois is so important. So he feels seen, loved, and understood by just one person, to give him the spiritual strength to follow his heart against judgment, discrimination, and being misunderstood. If you are called to follow your heart this week, it has to be true, and for these reasons, so you can bear the fact you may be unseen, judged, and deeply misunderstood. It's certainly not important the outside world understands you, but it's also not as important that you even fully understand your creative impulse to write a story or paint a picture. If it's an honest and pure inspiration, your only responsibility is to the muse. Unless you have your own personal Lois Lane, it's just too much to ask that there's another human being on planet Earth that can really see you and understand you or your creative impulses. I'm framing this transit for the creation of art and the artist because that was my meditation over the weekend. But for you, it could be forgiving an old grudge, inviting someone out to the movies, planning your first trip overseas, getting your first apartment, deepening a bond with a new friend, or elevating your career by bringing in more beauty, changing your aesthetic, or adding more of a spiritual or artistic influence to your daily life. I hope this takes some of the pressure off. You don't need anyone else to understand why or how or from where you are inspired to think, speak, and act from this different, elevated perspective. And you don't have to understand the why behind your inspiration to make subtle or large changes this week. You don't have to understand the why behind the inspiration to draw a picture like Van Gogh, or to write a story like Jane Austen. It's not for us or even Superman to know. All you need to know is that you're the one chosen to be inspired. You may not be meant to be understood, but you were meant to sing, dance, write, forgive, love, travel, heal, and that's all that matters. For the first half of this week, that's going to have to be enough. Monday, February the 13th. So I'm calling this entire week, they don't have to understand it. As you can see from what I wrote, and this Monday, February the 13th, I'm calling it a mixed bag because the moon's going to be in Scorpio, and there's going to be life is always what you make of it, okay? It always is that way. Sometimes there are influences that are more encouraging, more optimistic, and sometimes there are influences and times in life that are just more pessimistic and more depressing, so it's difficult to make the most of it. Or sometimes things are just confusing. You don't know if things are going well or not. And so I'm calling Monday a mixed bag because you have both. You have positive influences and you have what could be sort of like a negative influence. So the moon in Scorpio is going to make a trine over to Venus in Pisces, which is very yummy. And this is the positive. It's lovely, it's elevating, it's inspiring, it's artistic, it's sexy, it's sumptuous. However, that same moon in Scorpio is also going to make a square over to Saturn in Aquarius. This could be, it could feel like a bummer, it could feel serious, it could feel disappointment, but it's minor. It's a minor thing. I like the trine to Venus much more. So the moon's going to go void, and then it'll ingress into Sagittarius. So that'll help you gain perspective. And it really is what you make of it. Okay, that Sagittarius energy could be very optimistic, but it can also be grandiose and losing touch with reality. It could be very righteous. It could be very preachy. It could be very self-convinced that only Sagittarius knows the right thing or knows what's what. And that's grandiose, and it's not necessarily true. So look at the quality of your feelings on Monday, because you get to choose. You always get to choose. And on Monday, you really have these two different energies to open up and explore and amplify. You can amplify the bummer energy and exaggerate the feelings of feeling crushed under a sense of responsibility or ethics and morality, or you can take that beautiful moon Venus trine and amplify that and make that, you know, a bigger bright side that you feel and make more real for yourself. Tuesday, I'm calling happy Valentine's Day or Galentine's Day or V-Day. That's a protest I've been doing for like a really long time, is V-Day, the 𝚑𝚊𝚗𝚎 V-Day. So you can look it up. Anyway, Tuesday the 14th, I'm calling Pioneers Preferred. So there's kind of a lot happening on Tuesday. Tuesday, we have the moon in Sagittarius sextiling over to Mercury in Aquarius. That same moon in Sag is going to also trine over to Jupiter in Aries. So Jupiter leaving shadow also on Tuesday is kind of a big deal, because when a planet leaves, so planet retrogrades, and we hear about the most common retrograde we hear about is Mercury retrograde. And when a retrograde happens, there's a period after the retrograde where they're considered still to be in shadow, where they're covering ground that was covered previously before the retrograde, but not necessarily part of the retrograde itself. So that's what is happening with Jupiter on Tuesdays, that they're leaving the shadow period. And all right, let me back it up. So the sextile to Mercury in Aquarius. Also, you're coming off of the quarter moon of the weekend. So, I mean, it was just a big weekend with the Mercury-Pluto, the moon crossing the south node in Scorpio, opposing Uranus and Taurus. So it was a lot of purging and shedding and letting go of, and practicing acceptance with whatever you're letting go of or whatever you're realizing, conceptualizing. So it's about, you know, Bruce Lee saying it's the hacking away at the inessentials. It's about the decrease. Okay, so the first part of the week, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe even like Thursday, you're consolidating. You are like, you'd harvested already. You put all the crops where you want to put them, and then you're like putting your tools away, and you're going to be gearing up the last half of the week for your new moon, for a new beginning for yourself, which is going to be Sunday. So back to Tuesday. At this point, that moon in Sagittarius sextiling to Mercury in Aquarius can be momentum for ideas going bigger and still sort of putting things where they belong conceptually. The moon trining over to Jupiter in Aries, you'll have a lot to do with a new perspective. So this is very much, like I said, very favorable for pioneers and pioneering, like doing it on your own, doing it first, being the first to do something, doing something your own way. You know, entrepreneurship is defined as, you know, success on your own terms, doing it your own way. And, you know, it takes a certain level and amount of bravery to be able to do something like that. So it's like you can buck the system and, you know, you have that resistance, you have that rule that you can grind up against. But when you're an entrepreneur, for instance, you have that going on internally. You have to be inspired. You have to be motivated to keep pushing yourself. You can't, you know, if you're trying to do, you know, it's like you can't be a lazy entrepreneur because you're not going to do, you're not going to, you know what I'm saying? Like you're not going to, you can't expect everything to just, all the opportunities or, you know, you can't just expect everything to just like flow in seamlessly. Now, sure, that happens for some people, but if it's not happening for you, you can't expect that for yourself. You have to, you know, have that fire in the belly. Okay, so I love this day for that pioneering spirit, that entrepreneurial spirit. And this could even just be really great for getting out of a rut. You know, you've been wanting to eat healthier and you've been wanting to work out, but you never do. And so this is like, I'm gonna do it. Or you are, you know, you're creatively blocked and you're like, I'm just gonna do it. Or you're, you know, there's some wonderful energy where you'll have a lot to do. But it's from that, like, sort of, I can do it perspective. Now, Jupiter leaving shadow. We're finally covering new ground. Okay, we had corrections to make over the winter time, but now we're able to move forward on things that we've been held up. We had to go back and learn things and grab more information and gain different perspectives over the holiday season. And now we're ready to advance forward. Oh, that's right. I almost forgot this one. And it's right here. So the moon's also going to oppose Mars in Gemini. God, I feel like Mars has been in Gemini forever. Forever. My God. So this is hot button reaction. So people are definitely going to be very reactive on this energy. And I like that for doing the thing. You know, don't like pontificate about the thing. Do it. Like, just do it. Now, there's certain things that we have, you know, subconscious internal resistance against, you know, maybe it's like music or it's art. You know, if someone's really intimidated by a blank page, or someone's really intimidated by a piano or the guitar or a stage, or, you know, if someone's really intimidated by a computer, office work, someone's really, you know, this is a good day for like getting being triggered enough to like just do it, like just go for it, or just do the thing. My Meisner teacher said that, like, just do the thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, just do that thing. You just like push yourself, doing it before you're ready. You know, jumping out. That's another thing they say about entrepreneurship, is that you jump out the plane and you build your balloon on the way down. Okay. Anyway, so just don't let this get stirred up in like conflict with other people, because that if you're not in your own flow and you're not like self-convicted, I can see Tuesday just being like a fight fest where people are just arguing perspectives and debating and like don't, like what I said, you don't need anyone else to understand. So if you're trying to convince someone else, you don't feel as convicted, you're not as confident. So instead of trying to convince someone else or trying to, now if you do have to, like, I would say that would only work if you are giving like a presentation, then that would work very well. But if this is in a personal realm where the context is different, you don't have to convince Joe Schmo down the street. You don't have to convince cousin so-and-so. about your idea, your business idea. Like you need to just sit your butt down in the chair and write your own business plan. You don't have to, you know what I'm saying? So just don't get caught up in like a screaming match, or um like trying to get anyone else to really be on board with your idea, or your, whatever you're like really inspired by. Okay. Wednesday, I'm calling dreams. And that's because we still have that moon in Sagittarius squaring over to Neptune in Pisces, which means it's also going to be squaring over to Venus in Pisces. And this is a Venus-Neptune conjunction that I spoke about in our intro. And that moon in Sagittarius will also sextile over to Saturn, which is very nice. Calling it dreams. So the moon squaring over to Venus and Neptune in Pisces, these are mutable squares. Something can turn out a lot better than you thought. You can find out, and this is what I've been watching, is that for these types of squares, I'm always like prepared for the worst. I'm always like, okay, this is gonna just, I'm gonna be overconfident about this, so I'm gonna like adjust my expectations. I'm gonna like just expect nothing. I did that for all of 2022. And I think I started at the end of 2021, these kinds of squares. And what I learned is that they were usually better than what I thought. They turned out better. They turned out, because, I'm very, very careful with like adjusting my expectations and just, trying to be like as realistic as possible. And so for this one, it could be that something turns out like you were afraid of something, and then you're like, I didn't have to be afraid of that at all. Or that was so, that was silly of me. Or, it could be something like that, unless you were grandiose. So people that were grandiose, this could be like a puncture where, what they thought, they thought they were, I don't know, you thought you're estranged from someone, or there's like a weirdness between you and someone, and you thought it was like a whole different story than like what the reality is, what it actually is. And you could find out like that day that, oh my God, I thought I was in this conflict with someone and they don't even think about me. Or, you know what I'm saying? It could be something a little bit like skewed like that. It'll be one way or the other. Now, the sextile to Saturn says that we should be able to, if you try though, to keep it realistic enough. I like this for architecting. I like this whole week for architecting, but maybe just more conceptually. It depends. It depends on what's going on for you in your personal chart. But it's like, I'll get to it. I'll get to it in a second. Okay. The Venus-Neptune conjunction happens on Wednesday. And this is what I talked about in the intro. You can see or feel the broadest, deepest of the situation or relationship, or have like the deepest understanding of something. Okay, this can be forgiveness as well. This is very compassionate. There's even something self-sacrificial about this, how Superman had to sort of reconcile that with himself, that, some of this is, I have to sacrifice some of this. People are not going to take to me right away. People are not. That's actually how I feel about Jesus Christ. Like if Jesus came back, everyone would hate him. People would, can you imagine that? Can you imagine Jesus being on TikTok turning water into wine? Like people would hate him. People would think, oh, you think you're better than the rest of us, and who does he think he is? And like people would hate him, just like they did when he was here. Look what they did to him. People don't like good people. People don't like kindness and sweetness and vulnerability. They think it's fake. They think it's a lie. They think they're better than everybody else. And so, this Venus Neptune, it's like, if you are, and you guys are, oh my God, like you guys are sweet and kind, like connecting with you guys over Zoom, and when we talk, and you guys are like, I've been watching you since 2019, or you guys are just like the sweetest, like opening up into your lives. Like it's just this, and that's why I concentrate on the positive. I concentrate on the people that are really trying to connect with me, like in life, online, in real life, because that's like real. You know what I'm saying? Everything else is just someone's projection of me, and that's the same for you. So this Venus Neptune could have you feeling like very misunderstood because you're sweet, because you're kind, because you're sensitive. and you might just have to gulp it down. And, you know, it'll be up to you to stay who you are and be inspired, whether this is artistic, whether this is love and forgiveness. You know, let's say you want to reconnect with someone you're estranged from, but your spouse is a negative, grouch ass, grinchy, evil little jerk, and they don't want you to reconnect with someone. They don't want you to have a bond with someone, but you're like, but I do. I don't feel the hard feelings anymore. I don't, and I want this relationship. I want the, you know what I'm saying? That you might feel like, it's a sacrifice. How am I going to have both people in my life that don't like each other? You know, you have, you know, a psycho mom that doesn't like anybody that you bring home, or, you know what I'm saying? It's like, but it'll depend on like where this is playing out in your life. So, you know, I spoke about it in the context of, you know, being a misunderstood artist. And so you may feel like, I am just too sensitive for this world. I want to commit astral suicide, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, you might feel like you'll just like have to reconcile that, just like Superman had Lois Lane. So it's like, it's a little bit different, but it could be you could really get to the depths of it, because this is about dissolving boundaries this week. So, you know, boundaries are essential and they're helpful. We all need the boundaries. And when they grow too big, though, they grow into defenses. And you think of the US military in the Superman movie, where, by the way, I've been so right about aliens. I've been talking about the aliens since like 2020.
You ever look at your person and think to yourself, wow, how did I land you? You're the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life, and I'm so grateful for you.
Nobody's gonna know. Nobody's gonna know.
They're gonna know.
How would they know? How would they know? How would they know?
I can't. I can't.
Oh my god!
How did I go from this to this?
Previewing March 2023, when Pluto moves into the sign of Aquarius, we are going to be forced as a whole, as humanity, to hold more understanding and space for AI as independent, autonomous, and credible, for aliens being independent, autonomous, and credible, and for psychics being independent, autonomous, and credible. I just had to like call it. So, but like the defenses, right? They grow too big into defenses, and then it keeps out the good things. It keeps out things that it keeps out new, elevating, growth-oriented things that could really help you in life. If your boundaries grow too high, then they become defenses that actually hinder your progress and hinder your growth. So this Venus-Neptune is going to be really great for softening hard feelings, softening hard edges, softening defenses if they've grown too rigid. Okay, or, you know, if it's been hard for you to let love inside of your life, you know, this is going to help, you know, ease the way. Unless people are grandiose. If you took the weekend and you didn't get broken down and you didn't get that good insight into something and change your behavior, change your concept, change your thought patterning, change your mind about something, didn't let go of something, then you're starting the week grandiose, and this Venus-Neptune is going to be even more delusional. So we're gonna see some bubbles bursting, but that's only if you didn't really think about it this past weekend. If you didn't really let yourself change your position based on new or different information, then this could be a little bit like ungrounded for you this week, okay? Or for the people around you. If the people around you were not able to hear what you're saying, if you were not able to connect with them, if you couldn't get to that point of mutual understanding, difficult, very difficult. Thursday, I'm calling Thursday it's serious, and that's because we have the moon entering Capricorn. That moon entering Capricorn is going to square over to Jupiter in Aries, going to trine over to Uranus in Taurus, but we have the sun conjuncting Saturn. Ah! Okay, it's very serious on Thursday. Things get very, 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 very serious. Okay, so the moon entering Capricorn, it's a serious mood. And then now for the next 2.5 days, the mood, the circumstances are all going to be governed by Saturn. And Saturn is in this conjunction with the sun in Aquarius, which is a sign that Saturn rules. So it really is like the last half of the week is quite serious. So the first half of the week is definitely, it can be on the very best. It can be very dreamy and inspiring and artistic and empathetic and sweet and loving and kind. On the highest end, and that's what I focus on in our intro. But now we're at Thursday, and it's very, very serious mood. The moon squaring to Jupiter in Aries. Moon squaring Jupiter is usually like a happy and big, outsized emotions and very, very optimistic. But in this case, you might have to make an adjustment. You might have to take care of some business or get some approval before you can do something independent. You might have to get the approval of headquarters before you can open up your own office in a new city, that kind of a thing. Or you could be given that kind of responsibility and you didn't ask for it. You're just like doing your life, and then the higher ups are saying, you know what, we need to check off a box for women, minority, for a tax break. So now you're promoted. Now you have to go do this, and you're like, well, I don't have any experience, but it's like good for everybody and good for the. So you're growing. It's like a big growth spurt into something. Okay. Now the moon trining over to Uranus, I like very, very much because I have my moon in Aquarius, so I like this. You're on the right track. With the circumstances are new and different, but it's on the right track. So it's very supportive change, very supportive growth. So if it's different and sort of uncomfortable, if you are, in a new, different environment, it might feel a little bit new and different, but it's good for you. It's really, really good for you. It could feel unfamiliar, but it's good for you. You're growing into it. You need things that are different. You need things that are challenging to be better at stuff. Okay, now to the big bad transit. We have the sun conjuncting Saturn in Aquarius. So this is a hard acceptance of realities. It could be a very low energy day on Thursday. So if it's a funky mood, just let it be a funky mood on Thursday. The Mercury-Pluto over the weekend was probably really dramatic and loud for a lot of people, but for me, it was so quiet. It was like deathly quiet over this past weekend because I was just like thinking a lot, and with myself in my apartment with my Christmas tree and Superman and my notebooks, and you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, that's kind of the vibe I get for Thursday. It's like kind of just like serious, kind of just like very serious. It's sort of strange because this is the last, we're at the tail end. Like literally we are just a couple of weeks from Saturn, I think it's March 7th, Saturn leaving Aquarius for 30 years. So this area of life is just, this is like the last big lesson, now it could be like a big no, it could be a big denial or a big delay. Something could just really show you some very big, deep lesson about, maybe it's your health, maybe it's your daily life and your daily routine, your daily work environment, maybe it's your love relationships that have not been feeling so love-filled, maybe it's your, school and you're at college and it's just been really 2 steps forward, 1.5 steps back. There's just been this one area of life in particular that's been especially grinding and difficult. So Thursday could if we've been slacking, here's the thing with Saturn. what you earn, you keep. So whatever you've been working really hard on and through these since December 2020, if you earned it, you'll keep it. But if you didn't earn it, if you didn't rise up to the level of integrity and ethics and morality, then you'll lose it, or you won't want it anymore. It just won't work. It won't make any sense to you. So this is going to be like a crunchy day for ethics and morality and your integrity. Definitely with any kind of friends, groups, or associations, anything that's been decentralized, any systems that are also all the other astrologers and psychics since the end of July last year with the triple conjunction in Taurus, we all talked about the earthquakes and how we can expect so much to be unearthed through the breaking apart of Earth's crust. This is a terrestrial tectonic plate type movements. So I would expect for the next few years still more of that, more earthquakes, more cities to be discovered underground, more secrets to be discovered underground. And this Sun-Saturn conjunction could actually have a little bit of something to do with that. But, you know, that even more specifically could have to do with crypto, with regulations, with any kind of authorities that are really wanting to control or maybe even inhibit your self-expression or your feeling of independence and your feeling of being able to act according to your own will. Now, on the flip side, for some, this can even be some kind of assistance and some kind of help from authority figures, and, you know, some kind of solidification. If you've been working really hard and you've been trying to build something, this could be the start of a new cycle that sees stability and consistency. So it could actually, so the first half of the week is about dissolving those boundaries and letting something in and accessing something from a higher dimension, like artistic creative inspiration or love or forgiveness, or, you know, a higher, deeper understanding. Now, the last half of the week is more about the solidification. It's more about how are we going to ground that inspiration down into the physical realm. It's not enough to, I was gonna say good ideas mean nothing, but it's not enough to have good ideas. You have to be able to write them down. You have to be able to express them. You have to be able to paint them in pictures. You have to be able to sing them in a song. You know, it can't just, you don't get the credit for it. You don't get the credit for the idea because you didn't ground it down into physical actualization. You didn't do it. You didn't do the work. You didn't actually do it. So that's what this is. This is when we're going to do it. We're going to be asked to do it. And you know, we're either ready to do it or we're not ready to do it. We either prepared ourselves to rise up to the challenge. We either prepared ourselves. And that's what Saturn does. Saturn always makes us feel like a victim because we're told, no, it's really hard. We have to work twice as hard for little to no compensation. And we rise to that challenge, and then it gets easier. It doesn't get any harder. I mean, it doesn't actually get any easier, like the task or the lesson. We just get better at it. So it gets easier for us to do it, but the actual work does not get easier. Then it gets a little bit harder, actually. That's how Saturn works. And then we have to rise up to that level of performance. The work does not get any easier then either. We just get better at it. We get better at holding the tension. We get better at answering that level of responsibility. And then it gets a little bit harder. And then we have to answer to that. We have to answer to that level of difficulty. And then we get comfortable there, and it gets easier for us to do it. But the actual thing itself does not get any easier. And that's what it's been since December 2020 in this area of life. That first year was an exception because we had Jupiter there. So we actually didn't feel that hurt yet. We didn't feel that pain yet. We didn't feel that difficulty yet until 2021. The end of 2021-ish. So, you know, yeah, 2021, the beginning of 2022. So this is like the consolidation of, at the very least, a last big lesson. So if you earned it, you get to keep it and you get a reward. Saturn's going to give you one last lesson as he leaves, and one reward as he leaves. If you've been able to answer to this hard level that's being demanded of you, trying to make you better. We always resent it at first. We always feel victimized at first. We always feel like, why me? Why are you doing this to me? Why do I have to do more? What? But it's to make you better. It's to get you to rise up to that level of standard, that quality, that integrity. So I know Thursday's rough. It's very serious, but it really is. It really is for the best. That's a hard pill to swallow, man, but that's what it is. Friday, the 17th, I'm calling open up the inside. And that's because we have the moon in Capricorn sextiling the Venus-Neptune conjunction in Pisces, and then Mercury's in Aquarius sextiling over to Jupiter in Aries. So that hard-hearted Capricorn moon is now getting some inspiration, some love and beauty from the Venus-Neptune conjunction. So you can access the cosmic codex for bigger truths, higher truths that you can ground down into. There's something about the circumstances that are giving you some access to some of that inspiration or beauty or love or higher understanding from earlier in the week. But you'll be more serious about it. You'll be taking it a little bit more seriously. You'll be a little bit more serious and sober-minded. Mercury in Aquarius, sextiling Jupiter in Aries. That's really great for ideas, for collaborations, planning, but you have to try. It's not a given. It's not a given. Now, from about like late Thursday, from like Thursday to Saturday, Sunday, we're really going to be better off either in privacy or alone, or really with people that we can really, really trust to be in our inner mind. So if, people are texting you, you might be like, I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to talk to you. It's not a good time, or, something like that, because it's a very introspective time, and you'll only really want to be with someone or talking to people that can really hold space for all of this stuff, that are not going to judge you, that are not going to have like a preconceived notion or like a secret motivation. You're not going to want to talk to people that have a stake in the decisions that you make. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want anyone that's going to benefit from you doing this or that, or thinking this way or that way, and asking that person for advice. It's like biased. You know what I'm saying? So you'd really need, it's going to be a little bit more introspective Thursday to Sunday, because you're trying to figure out what went wrong. You're trying to figure out what went right and what went wrong since January the 21st. And in some cases, since the end of July, the beginning of August, whenever we had that Leo new moon at the end of summer last year. So that's connected to it. And then the end of January until now is connected to it. So that's why it's a little bit more introspective, because no one can tell you the truth of how that went for you, but only you know your personal experience. So, just be careful with like the influences that you put yourself around that Thursday to like Sunday. It's very serious. So on Friday, what worked and what didn't work since, the end of January, since the end of July last year, because you could access your own inspiration. You could know how you'll have a greater access to your own personal truths about this. And then if you are talking with anyone, it's really great for bouncing ideas and for making new plans for like, okay, I know how I feel about what happened and what went down and what went well and what didn't go well. And now I know how I want to give myself this new beginning for the Pisces new moon coming up. And now I know how I want to do things a little bit differently. Now I know, but you need that time to let it percolate and stew and figure that out. And that's what this is, like the later part of the week. Saturday the 18th, I'm calling upgrading. The moon moves into Aquarius, it conjuncts Mercury. So speaking and writing with a sound objectivity is going to be the order. Look at all this. Look at that aqua party right there. My goodness gracious. So there's like big changes that you're making that you're like, you could be ready to make them like immediately, or they could be like really great inspiration for, you could be thinking about it and talking about it and making the planning at the end of this week to implement for the next week and beyond. Let me put it that way. Okay, and then also that moon in Aquarius will sextile over to Jupiter in Aries and trine over to Mars. Yeah, you really know what you're going to be doing differently because of the new perspective that you've been granted. And you can take the second chance to get it right based off of what didn't really go well over the holidays, or what didn't really go well over in the fall, or what didn't really go well from the end of January to now. You're going to be like, okay, I know what I want to do. I know what changes I want to make. I know, all right, let's do this. Let's pivot. You know, you can still change your mind. Moon in Aquarius then also squares Uranus and Taurus. So I like that for the upgrade, going with the flow, innovating new things, and getting yourself ready for a new vibe. It might be a little bit of a drastic change, or like a hard pivot. Trust yourself. Then the sun will move into Pisces, and our ego identity, our validation, our ego assertion changes completely. And it goes into this like oneness where we will feel our ego is being more validated when we are very forgiving, very accepting, very maybe artistic, maybe spiritual, but we will feel like our identities are so much more honest and real when we're being loving and kind. Simple, simple, simple. That's the highest vibration. That's the highest vibration. Sunday, I'm either going to call this day Sunday Bloody Sunday, or I'm going to call this day Architecting Dreams. Maybe Architecting Dreams sounds better. Okay, so Sunday the 19th, we have the new moon. Okay, the moon is going to be in the, what is it? I think it's 0 or 1 degree. Let's see. It is 1 degree. It's 1 degree of Pisces. New start, reset. So but the moon's going to conjunct Saturn first, and that's going to be very serious and very, you know, very, very serious still. Your ideals, your friendships, your ethics, your morals, your beliefs. It's like, do the right thing, and you will feel amazing when you do the right thing. You will feel better. You will feel vindicated. You will feel like it is well with your soul. That's like an old Victorian thing. It is well with my soul. Okay. That's what it's going to be. Then the moon moves into Pisces, and it has to be full on intuition, full on integrity. The new moon, it's got this like sort of, I don't want to say like virgin blood, but it's got this sort of, I wanted to maybe call it Sunday Bloody Sunday. First of all, that's what I was getting, but it's also got this like the, you know how there's information in the DNA, and like in Superman, how he has like in his cells the entire civilization of Krypton like in his cells, and it's like Russell Crowe like just like infused it into his like little blood cells, right? It's got this like very macrocosm microcosm feel to it, and with the Pisces energy being all about oneness. And okay, here's a perfect holographic information. So if you read the Gateway, the CIA declassified Gateway stuff, the hologram, one part contains everything in the whole. So if you took the whole and you broke it off into zillions of little pieces, the smallest piece is going to contain information of the whole. So you can take that littlest piece and have all of the information and be able to recreate the hologram, boop, of the whole. We're not going to get into holograms and oscillating energy grids in this video. That's really for the TikTok, if you guys are my TikTok, if you're really into all that stuff. So, but that's kind of what I was getting with this new moon in Pisces. Anyway, new moon in Pisces is a reset. It's time for a clean slate, a brand new beginning. Take that Sunday to really meditate. That's not going to, you know, let yourself be very inspired. And then next week, we're going to talk about building up some new karma for yourself and really creating something new for yourself. This new moon, the next couple of weeks, it's really important because Saturn is about to enter the sign of Pisces. And then this is going to be a thing for us for the next good while. So whatever you are serious, why is my hair, sorry. Like I'm trying to talk, the Pisces new moon is going to be really, really consequential for quite some time because Saturn's going to hit that point again, And it's just going to be a big thing. It's going to be a big deal. We're going to have Saturn in Pisces, and that's really going to be about architecting our dreams and really making that concretize. Like I was saying before, that it's not enough to have a good idea, that you have to be able to do it. You have to, not just see it in your mind's eye, but you have to be able to dance it out, talk it out, write it out, sing it out, paint it out. And so that's what Saturn in Pisces is going to do. And so for everyone's going to be in a different area of life. And so this new moon in particular, over the next couple of weeks, we're going to get a head start on that architecting, on that building it out. So, so long as it's on your integrity, so long as it's on your highest inspiration, this is really about being able to access something that you previously have not been able to access. So opening your heart more and more this week, and then figuring out how you're going to stabilize that and ground that, incorporate that more into your life in a realistic, structured way, is going to be the name of the game. And the thing about it is that not everybody has to understand it. And take the pressure off of you even understanding it and needing to understand it. If you just get the inspiration to, if you're, for instance, I'm like a dramatic writer. Like I like writing about like serial killers and history and like all these things. And my astrologer has been telling me for years, I mean years and years, to write comedy. It never resonated, never made any sense to me. I was always like very intimidated by it. I just didn't, but something kind of happened last year and I was really inspired to just go for it and learn. And I just went for it, and I had zero confidence. I was not like ready. I was just like, oh, I'm gonna open my mind and see what happens. And I'm really happy that I did, because it turned out to help everything else. It just made me a better writer overall. And I'm really funny. I am funny, but it's like, just, you don't have to, if I tried to figure it out, if I tried to understand like the why, and then if I tried to really understand like the whole big picture, I don't know, maybe I definitely wouldn't have been able to figure it out. But I'm glad that I jumped in, because I get it now. Like I figured it out and I understand it now. And so it's not always up to you to know every part of it. You just need to know that you were chosen to be inspired to forgive, inspired to go to a certain spot on the earth and travel, inspired to, you know what I'm saying? Like sit at that cafe instead of that one, and you meet someone there and it turns out to be very, either inspirational, or might, turn into something more. You fall in love and they turn out to be the father or mother of your child. You just have to go with that. You just have to go with that inspiration and follow it and see where it leads. Okay. Just be sure that you're not grandiose this week, because then it's going to be like scary, like Alice through the looking glass, and you'll feel scared. That's the thing. Like fear is the great conspiracy. The only conspiracy that's out there is fear, because love is the only truth. So when you are in fear, you're alienated from yourself and you're not going to make good decisions. You're going to act against your own best interest. So stay away from people that are really scared. Okay. I don't care what of, like, just fear, just the fear of whatever. That's like, you're okay. Get away from that. And, ground yourself in love and inspiration and art and creativity and kindness and sweetness. Okay. And so that's what I got. Let's take a look at the tarot. Because I had to start and stop this so much, I have no concept of where we are time-wise. So I'm going to try and make this skippy for us. Can you please just tell us the message in the simplest possible terms, what people need to know about this week ahead, please? Because people have things to do, places to go. Thank you. Ooh, 7 of Wands. To start, very strong. So this is definitely Superman holding his own against criticism, holding his own against people insulting him and making fun of him and being a bully and, trying to tear him down, being misunderstood. Oh, two people, the Queen of Swords and the King of Cups. So these people, this is an interesting match. This is a really nice balance. This is like a nice balance of the feeling and the inspiration, as well as the mentality and the strategy and the words. So whatever this kind of, you know, this is you and your family member having a chat. This is you in a work situation, figuring, you know, problem solving, troubleshooting something. It looks really like a nice balance. Oh, and the Ace of Pentacles. So you could definitely be starting something new this week. It could be something new that's very, but it's something that you're interested in concretizing. This might even be an opportunity. It can be some kind of like job offer. It could be that you get the angel investor. You get the you incorporate. You get your corporate shield. You know, so it's like it's very, very nice, very inspiring. Oh, bottom of the deck you have Judgment, the Devil, and the Nine of Cups. If you can overcome your self-sabotaging mechanism, so you'll know that if you're in fear this week. If you are in fear, if you are afraid of something, it's the Venus-Neptune playing tricks on you. It's a little bit delusional. If you're afraid of something, you're giving all the power away. You're giving all the power away into this other thing, the boogeyman that's going to come get you, or it's going to come hurt you, or you know what I'm saying? And that's why it's the conspiracy. The devil always lies. The devil energy is going to convince you that there is something to be afraid of. It's going to convince you to give your power away. It doesn't have to take anything from you. It doesn't have to scare you and bully you. It'll convince you to give your power away. Organically. They'll just say, here it is. Okay. So it'll be whatever you're afraid of this week that's going to be the self-undoing. It's going to make you act against your own best interests. So you can fumble a dream coming true. You can fumble a wish fulfillment by being afraid. I would be really, really careful with that, because with the Judgment energy, this could be a lasting decision. You make a decision that lasts a really long time. And if you're afraid when you make that decision, then you can act against yourself and fumble a really great opportunity that has far-reaching, long-lasting consequences. And this could even have been something that came up again for you, maybe not in the same like people or situation, but something about the same theme is returning. Like you're getting a second chance. You're getting a second chance to do something right this time, and you can fumble it. But you'll fumble it if you fall where you've fallen before. So you may be confronted with the same tests, the same fears. Okay. The Devil's about, the chains on their neck are loose. The Devil's about what we choose. It's, we all pick our poison. It's what we choose to be codependent on as a crutch. So if it's your fear that's keeping you from doing something, or your fear that's keeping you from a good thing developing, it's like, it's what you're choosing to be codependent on, to keep you chained to the past, to keep you chained to disempowerment, to keep you chained to staying the same. Okay. So I feel like someone's just afraid of their own power, or they're afraid of their own wish fulfillment, or they're afraid of doing something on their own, or they're afraid of maybe taking a chance or a risk, or but they're afraid. They're afraid of themselves. They're afraid of who they could be. They're afraid of actually being great. You know, this is like that Jim Morrison quote. I have the soul of a clown that always forces me to blow it at the most important moments. You know, this could be where you self-sabotage, like right before you get to your big, this is like someone that says like, I always wanted to do this. I always wanted to be a teacher. I always wanted to be a teacher. but they take the like this, let's say there's like an ultimate test, like the bar exam, or let's say it's a lawyer. God, bad examples. I want to be a lawyer, but you like fumble the bar exam every single time. Maybe you get drunk the night before, or maybe you do drugs the night before, or maybe you just like stay up and don't get any sleep the night before, or maybe, you know, you self-sabotage like right when you're right there. But you live your life saying like, well, I want to be a lawyer, I want to do this, I want to do this. But then you always fumble it at the last moment. You're really afraid of how powerful you can be. You're really afraid, or you fumble a relationship. You never, you meet great people and you never be with them because you always self-sabotage. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like that. So this is like that. Tell me about the Seven of Wands. But you have the chance to not self-sabotage. You have a chance to win, get your wish fulfillment. Ooh, the Lovers. All right, so if you are falling in love with someone, if or whatever relationship this is, it's like you make the decision and then you have to defend that relationship, but you really don't. You might feel like you have to defend a choice, but you really don't. That's the fear. That's someone else taking the power. That's you giving the power to them trying to take the power. You don't have to defend anything. Don't let them manipulate you into thinking that you have to explain this to somebody. What did Bill tell Kiddo at the end of Kill Bill Volume 2? He told her, you could be, it doesn't matter how many kids you popped out or how big your butt gets, you will always be Beatrix Kiddo. Just like Superman. Always going to be Superman. Doesn't matter how convincing he is as Clark Kent. He's always going to be an alien. If you fumble something, great this week. If you... This is so sad. I had such a... This weekend was so like... It's like you will still get the inspiration to sing, even if you never sing. You will still get dialogue in your head. You're still going to get stories in your mind that you want to write out. You know what I'm saying? Or you will still see visions that you want to paint. That will not, like, you, and people kill that part of themselves. Like, they kill it and they deaden it, but they're always that person. They're always who they are, even if they never really express it, or if they even continue to self-sabotage and they could lose it. You could actually lose your connection to that. That's something that drug and alcohol abuse over a prolonged period of time can do to your etheric web. And we're not going to get into oscillating energy grids in this video, but this is like, let me just tell you, like, if you don't have to defend and be defensive, and no one else has to understand that this is a relationship choice. Okay. Let's take a look at here. King of Cups and the Queen of Swords. Four of Cups. You know, this is even like, even if you're solo, okay? I talk about it up front now. I'm psychic. This is the work that I do. I'm a professional remote viewer. All of that stuff I put up to the very front of the conversation, and it immediately disqualifies everybody. And that's the point. So it doesn't have to be like you're defending a lover, or you're defending who you're going into business with, or you're defending your family member. This can even be you just keeping yourself like a sanctuary, keeping your own sanctuary with yourself, and saying like, no, this is me. You know, and if that like bothers you, why does it bother you if I think of myself as a psychic or a unicorn? Why do you care? You know what I'm saying? I don't have to I don't feel at all like I have to convince anybody, or that I have to prove anything to anybody. Like, then that would mean that I feel like unstable and insecure with who I am and my identity, and I'm not, and I don't. So you might feel this week like you have to do that. Like you have to, I don't know, whatever that happens to be, but you really don't. You just have to know yourself. You just have to understand, okay, I'm getting the inspiration to forgive this person. I'm getting the inspiration to create a piece of art that's better than any art that I've ever created in my entire life, and I'm gonna do it. You know what I'm saying? Okay, Four of Cups. So there's something kind of strange between these two individuals. They together might feel sort of apathetic, where they together, they're not really excited about anything. They're not like moved, they're not inspired, they're like milk toast. They're lackluster about something. You know, maybe this is a couple looking for a house and they can't find a house because nothing is like screaming home to them. You know, this could be business partners that are shopping for investments, and they're like, oh, this is all kind of boring, or I'm not really like into any of this, and you know, it's not like that exciting. Or this can be within the connection where these two people, where I said before that they're a pretty good balance, maybe they're not. Maybe they're kind of not feeling like the other one understands them. You know, someone's trying to talk about their feelings, the other one's trying to talk about what they think, and they're just not, they're too far apart. It could be that too, where the natural affinity, where the opposites had a lot of chemistry and it was opposites attract, it could have fizzled, where now it's like we're just too far apart and there is no chemistry. Ace of Pentacles. Ooh. It's the Queen of Cups, another person. So this is like a very relational, relationshipy week for whoever this is that I'm channeling. This should be a very strong week for your intuition, and you should absolutely listen to that intuition. There could be a grounding, there could be a really nice grounding of a spiritual practice. So this would be like if someone wants to, you know, meditate every day and they don't, this can be where you finally get into meditating every day, or writing every day, or singing every day, or honestly, this looks a little bit more relationshipy. So this can be more like a commitment to see someone every day. So, you know, if you're like, you know, lackluster with this person, you know, you could instead resolve to, you know, talk with your therapist once a week, or make some kind of commitment to either do something every day, or to see someone every week, or somehow make it like a schedule, or like a frequent, you know, you and maybe you're in a band and you're changing your lineup, or your bandmates, and so you're now going to be practicing and rehearsing with a new bandmate every week, or you know, every couple of days or something like that. So don't fumble it, because there's like, that's fate brings you the opportunity. What you make of that opportunity is your destiny, you creating your destiny. If you leave the opportunity, or if you take it, if you know, that's you creating your destiny. So you can absolutely fumble it, you can absolutely let it go, but it'll be the fear that undermines you. It'll be a fear that will be doing that, but it'll be you out of fear doing that. Okay, do we have I'm gonna put this hair up, I cannot wait. Do we have any other guidance for my people? Oh, that's a lot of guidance. Adjustments are required, absolutely. You know, because you have the King of Cups here, this is my Michael Corleone energy, and then you have the Queen of Cups over here, and then the Queen of Swords is like the odd man out over here. You might be wanting to like get rid of like the critical person, or like the Debbie Downer, or the petty Patty, or the negative Nancy, or the dream killer. You might be wanting to get rid of that person and see that person less. Maybe that's a friend, maybe that's a coworker, maybe that's you know, a family member or someone, and maybe you want to incorporate something a little bit more stable and structured with the person who might be a little bit of a better match. They're a little bit more, I don't know if this is like intuitive or spiritual or artistic or creative or just empathetic. You might be switching out your therapist from someone that's trying to like analyze and pick apart everything. And you might pick a therapist that's just like having you feel a little bit more understood emotionally, or that's an example, something like that. Adjustments are required. And then there's only 2. You have a new start is coming. Yes, it speaks to the new moon at the end of the week. Oh, and then a fiery climax approaches. Sounds exciting. There's a lot of very big action sequences. I'll be watching that movie like multiple times, but yeah, okay. Anyway, love you guys. Take very good care. Until next time, my dearies, have a lovely, beautiful, inspiring week, and many beautiful blessings upon all of your beautiful headstones.